Hi, sexy listeners. Welcome to another episode of The Trouble with Sex. I'm Dr. Tammy. Today, we have an extraordinary guest and someone from my own neighborhood, relationship and sex therapist, Dr. Sara Nasserzadeh. Sara and I are going to dive into sex and relationships by talking about the difference between chemistry and harmony, desire versus attraction, and her book, Love by Design, which I do have here. I have read it, 6 Ingredients to Build a Lifetime of Love, which we will put in our show notes as well, so you can take a look at that. Dr. Sara is an award-winning social psychologist, a TED speaker, a global thought leader. Her mission is nothing less than world peace, one relationship at a time, which really jives with our mission here at The Trouble with Sex. She's advised governments around the world. She's taught at the Integrative Sex Therapy Institute. She's worked with the UN, other universities around the world, Fortune 500 companies, and really working with intimacy, leadership, and culture. And she really has a lot of clarity, insight, compassion. She's just a real person as well as being very insightful and clear. And she has an interesting cultural insight across many different cultures and countries. Her work spans more than, I think, 40 countries, probably more than that by now. She's been on NPR, the BBC, CNN, and she really is a trailblazer in this area. She's earned honors from everyone for her innovation and her impact. And welcome, Dr. Sara. I'm so happy to finally have you on the show today. We've been trying this for a while, and I'm thrilled that you could be here.
Thank you so much for having me and your kind introduction.
It's a thrill. What do you think drove you to write this book, Love by Design? Tell us a little bit about that.
This book was actually in the making for many, many years now. The first time somebody approached me to write this was about 18 years ago when I first came to the United States from England. And I'm so glad I didn't write it there and then because I think it would have been a struggle to bring it all together. And maybe at that time would have been just my ideas. Not that ideas don't matter, but it would have been anecdote from a therapist rather than solid research behind it. So I'm glad I didn't do it that time. Over the years, though, the idea never left me because I am always interested to see how we thrive in life, in relationships, everywhere, really, every aspect of life, rather than just stick around and survive. That is not my style. So that was one of the main reasons I wrote this book because I figured relational spaces, as you well know, Dr. Tammy, that is very, very important. The most important place that provides us with backbone or breaks that backbone from bedroom to the boardroom, right? So, so important relational spaces and determines the whole overall quality of our lives. With that, I personally struggled over the years, like in intimate partnerships or work spaces. And I often thought, I'm not wise enough to ask those questions that get me the answers to guide me. So, how do I do this to be different for the next generation, for my clients, for my own child? And yeah, all of those came together to become this book and the
So
motivation
that's so
behind it.
it is so interesting to think about the next generation. Like what we're responsible for for sharing those messages and the ideas around sexuality and relationships and how there's things that could make or break us. I mean, at this point in our lives, we've had a few relationships and we've had a few I was going to say we've made a few mistakes. And I feel like I'm still learning, so I'm still trying to figure it all out. What do
Of
you,
course.
what kind of advice would you give the next generation about sex and relationships?
That's a
No
huge,
pressure. No pressure.
exactly. That's a huge question and huge responsibility. I just
Hmm.
think at least let's start by not damaging them. Because, sometimes while back I was teaching somewhere and to a group of colleagues, and I told them, look, can we afford curiosity anymore? When I've been in this field forever, really, it feels like, by the way, this is dyed hair. My hair is all gray. So I've been around for a while now. So I feel like if I sit with a client, with my child, with my niece, and I just hold the safest space, it's just the first ground and be curious about what they want, where they want to go. Second level. But the third level is, hey, lovely person, listen, I've been around. Here's what I learned. Here's what is going to save you time, resources, heartbreak. And I think if we can't offer that to the next generation, that would be a crime. So it's not a gift. It's actually not doing it would be cruelty to me. So that
Yeah.
would be the first thing that comes to my mind about the next generation. But obviously, everybody is unique. Their wants and desires are unique. But at least we can help them to put their efforts where it matters. If they want to have thriving relationships and good sex and enjoy themselves, and you know,
Do you think there is like such a big difference with this new generation? Now there's like the generation alpha or whatever. I don't know what is coming next, but that they are so connected to the technology, and that's how they meet, and that's how they talk, and that's how they struggle. Do you think it's a big difference from what we've been talking about all these years? Do you think when they say, "Well, you don't really understand because fill in the blank," um,
yeah.
is it different for them than it is for people? I don't want to say our age because I'm older than you, but the the sort of generations that have come before.
I would say probably a big yes. Because when we were growing up, if you remember, even though you grew up in the US and I grew up in a totally different country, but majority of the shows that we watched, even though I might have watched them in dubbed, in my language, or, you watched them here, but at least even, if you go back even to 20 years ago, if I bring a reference from Friends, Sex and the City, whatever, we all know what we're talking about. But
Mm,
over a period of time, what has changed from my perspective is that we all are exposed to so many different ways of getting information, the process of getting information, as well as the content that we receive, that even under the same roof, let alone the same generation, we might be talking about two different things. At the end
it's
of
so
the
true.
day, we actually have a rule with my husband that if we have any oi or joy, as I call them, like for example, we come together at night and I say, so what were the clips that you saw that moved you, positive, negative, whatever in between? With our son as well, over dinner table, we always share with each other what was that piece of information or the energy field that you experienced today that moved you in any form or shape. I need to know about that. Otherwise, over a period of time, we're not even speaking the same language. So if we don't have a shared understanding of the world, then what are we trying to achieve in the shared space? So
Yeah,
that's what I would
I
say.
like
It's
that.
very different. So, the
Yeah.
information we receive, the meaning that we make out of them, the shared language that the generation has with one another. Like a while back, it was this whole idea of 6, 7. Nobody even knows where it came from. Everybody's talking about it.
Okay, let's just stop for a second. What is that 6, 7 thing? Like, where did that come from, and why is it a thing? And it's like such a great example of just something that can go viral and become a thing, even though no one knows what it is. And it's just cool that it is, that I'm on the inside because I can do it. And I watch South Park, so now that's the only reason I know what it is. And, and I still don't really understand what it is.
But you see, you just said it. It shows that we are from the same generation because I do watch South Park too. So it's very, so it's really interesting. I don't know if you find out what it was, where it was originated, because there are speculations about the origination of that as well. Uh, but all of that also tells us that the way that we are moving through the world, we need to not assume that even for the simplest terms, sex even. Like anything that we thought that both of us share the same meaning behind needs clarification now. Because I don't know what you know. I don't know how you define it. I don't know how you embody it. So the level of communication skills that we need to develop in this day and age is a totally different level to me.
That's such a good point because even how people define, sex or relationships or love is much, much different today. I have kids that are 25 to 35, and just their experience of like commitment, of monogamy, of intercourse, like from the wide range of being queer and being, gender neutral or being straight. Like they just have a bigger sort of blueprint of what it means around
Mm.
sex and intimacy.
Absolutely. And I wonder if you also find it with especially millennials and Gen Z, they are less judgmental than our generation as well, because they allow for the possibilities that life can bring them. So when I'm around them, I actually kind of feel ashamed sometimes. I feel, oh, so you're much more open-minded. So it's a good thing that, if we can keep the dialogues open between generations, we can really do learn from one another. And sometimes it's difficult to change the mold and the structures because humans do best with certainty, as we all know. But when it's uncertain, when we are like, how about pushing the boundary a little bit here or there, it could feel difficult and different. But, and I know that, you deal with it every day as well in your clinic and teaching other colleagues. But I think that's the best thing that we can do. Keep the communication channels open, but don't assume that we mean the same thing by the same words.
That's such a good point. Such a good point. I love that you have this cross-cultural perspective, that you see things in a much wider view. And I'm going to throw a curveball at you, which is, we're in such a weird place in this country, and
Mm.
everything is sort of up for grabs. Like, where are we going? What's going to happen? Is this person safe? Are we going to land in a place that feels safe for that person? Like, what I find is that people don't know who to trust, where to go, is the future stable, and that's affecting relationships, like social relationships, work
Absolutely.
relationships, financial, and also love at home. And I wonder, from your bigger world perspective, if you want to say something about that, as a therapist, as a sex therapist, as a just a an international person.
Sure. So what I observe, and I don't know, like based on your experience, please chime in, because I don't think anybody has the answer. I just came back from the TED conference, for example, and we had a lot of presentations on AI as where we are going, how are we training the AI so that AI comes back and train us as humans. So what needs to be fed into that machine to be able to put the algorithms and patterns together and then bring them back to us. So it's a huge responsibility. And I think this is our chance as humans to get in. And if we want to do anything with that future that we are afraid of, we need to get in, we need to show up. We need to make sure to face the difficult decisions that we have, and those stones that we are afraid to turn, we need to turn them to see what is under. The machine is not going to do that for us, right? And the machine is only as good as the data we feed it. So these are the things that come up for me. But on that is the bigger conceptual level, right? Or rather pragmatic, actually, not conceptual. But on the other side of it, as an existential level, again, I mentioned it earlier. To me, and I would love to hear your perspective on this as well. To me, uncertainty and lack of sense of agency is the worst thing that can happen to any human, because we don't do well with uncertainty. Although we might get excited or even nervited, nervous, excited, what is coming, whatnot. But still, we want to know that if I jump, at least I land somewhere. But right now, I think that is what is not happening. And that level of ambiguity and uncertainty shows up in intimate spaces in several ways. One is we might alienate our partners because what makes you different from the rest of the world? I'm alienated from everybody else. I don't know what is happening. I'm dissociating with everybody, including you. or that one person becomes the person that is the anchor, that is
Oh.
the most certain thing in my life. And that's why people become really fragile, even in little tension that they have, because they feel, oh my God, then you're not there either. So what is there? What is true? What is real? What am I grounding myself? So these are the two extremes that I see. I wonder what you see.
God, you're making me think so much about all of this, and what I'm realizing as you're talking is that we tend to interrelate freedom and control. So, if I feel like I'm losing freedom, then I'll try to control more things. Like it feels like I have no control if I'm losing my freedom, or if I feel like I'm out of control, that means somehow I'm losing my freedom. Like I feel like we all want connection and we want freedom. So how does that translate for us in relationships around control? Like, if I feel like I'm losing my definition of freedom on any level, then
Mm,
am I going to try to be more controlling, or am I going to project that onto my partner? Like, you're trying to control me, or I feel out of control. Like, somehow freedom and control seems very connected to me when you're talking. And
mm,
I've never really thought about it from that perspective. And I've always imagined that we could work out a lot of our control issues in a really erotic way, in a positive
mhm,
way. And that can heal a lot of that need for sort of freedom of expression and freedom to be ourselves. And where no one else can control us in our own eroticism. But now, if our freedoms are in question, even
mm.
if it's just internally, I wonder how that's affecting our our sex lives and the control of our anxiety. And God, it brings up so many other questions. And I'm so glad you brought up the AI thing. This is such a huge conversation now. And
Yeah.
is that something that you are feeling like is going to be part of your future? Maybe your writing or your talking, your speaks.
Absolutely. I want to be on the front line to really influence with other colleagues. We need to be on the front lines to educate the AI, because AI is very good, as far as I know, that to put the patterns together. But to recognize the patterns, the data needs to be as solid as possible, because the machine, for now at least, lacks originality. The originals are us. So
Yeah.
we need to get out there and give the original ideas so that we can cover those blind spots and areas that need attention, so that it doesn't get out of hand. It doesn't go, um, to the directions that we don't want to. And then the information doesn't stay limited. It can be generative. It can be, I know that we talk about generative AI, but that's a very different meaning to me than the way that human brain can generate our conversation. We didn't plan for this. We start somewhere, we end up somewhere else. Because we are constantly thinking and generating, and, two analytical minds sitting together. And that's the beauty of human nature. I'm not just getting what you tell me and put the patterns together and give it back to you, or, so to me, there's a very good chance for us, opportunity for us right now to be there. And I will be definitely one of those people to embrace the opportunities to be there and as best as I can. But Tammy, can I just go back to something that you mentioned about control and freedom? Because I think that was the part that you entered the realm of the the cross-cultural perspectives. So when we're talking about control and freedom, I would say they have very different meanings across cultures by large.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So in individualistic society, your freedom is your freedom. So I often, when I want to teach about this, I often have a kiwi with me, and then I cut it in half and I show it to people. There is a center to the kiwi, and that is the individual. And then there's a little bit of a lighter green, if it doesn't go bad, like, and it looks like that. And then so it's a little bit of a lighter green. So it shows the close family circle and people in your close circle. And then it goes out to the political, social system and the world, right? But this is representative of the very individualistic system that our country here in the US. On the other side of it, there are range of countries that go towards the other side of the spectrum, which is if you think about the way that the clock works, like a system, one turns and then the other one turns, cause the third one turn. So the individual and the close circle and the socio-political situation, they're all interconnected. And I think one of the things that we are also experiencing in this country, in our country right now, is that in an individualistic society that we each could mind our own businesses, we are now feeling that, oh, hang on a minute. The thing that is happening there is actually impacting me. That thing is happening here, impacting me as well. And I think that's a very new and nuanced experience for all of us. That and probably, the way that is going to impact that, okay, so what do I need to control if I want to control anything? What does that mean to that freedom, so to speak, in the culture of cancel, in the culture of really, censorship and all of that. So it's one of those things that I wonder, those are also big concepts that we need to massage and think who means what with those words.
I love that. And I love that we're thinking about our impact in a different way. You're talking about the impact we need to have on AI. And what you're talking about is like looking at our social structure differently and being more conscious of our impact. We usually think about it in our own little corner here in relationship world of the impact that we might have on our partner. And now you're sort of opening up the conversation to think about it even in a broader sense. Like, not, when we get woken up by the impact that the world has on us, we only look at it from that perspective instead of the impact that we could have on the world. And I like that you're thinking in that perspective from the AI perspective, and also how we can look at it as the opportunity to think about our impact on our partners, whether those are our relationship partners, our kids, our families, our work, or our society. Like, this is really a
Yes,
crucial moment.
sure. And the relationship even with our AI companion, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever that we're using. So that's a relationship too. Except
So
for
true.
the human aspect of it, the neuroresonance of it is missing. Right? But it is a relationship when I'm in a conversation with my ChatGPT. What do you think about this thing that I wrote? Can you help me figure this out? Can you help me think about this differently? That's a relationship.
Yeah, and it's problematic on many levels
It could be for
because,
sure. Could be for
well,
sure.
especially when people are using it as their therapist, and we're getting a lot of replacement here for, people using it for their relationship partners. So it's
Yes.
an interesting, impactful moment in the world, and we are
Yeah.
going in a different direction than I thought we were going to go. But I loved having this conversation with you. And when we get back from our break, I'm going to ask you what I ask all of my guests, which is, what do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today? But we'll be right back.
Sure.
Are you at a crossroads in your relationship? Are you or your partner hesitant to commit the time and money to weekly couples therapy? You can resolve your conflict, work through affairs, increase intimacy, improve communication by working one-on-one with me, Dr. Tammy, in an intensive. It's similar to a couples workshop, but it's in person, private, just for the two of you, for a whole day or even 2 days. Come for an in-depth intervention that could last a lifetime. For more information, go to drtammynelson.com. That's DRTAMMY Nelson.com, and give yourself and your partner the relationship you both deserve.
So who needs vaginal dilators? Well, those in perimenopause and menopause who have low estrogen causing thin, pale, and shrinking tissue, painful intercourse or painful penetration, infrequent sexual penetration, vaginismus, vulvodynia, if your partner has a penis with a large girth or length, a neovagina patient, breast and other female cancer patients, if you've had pelvic floor radiation, and virgins. Now, the primary benefit of my wearable vaginal dilators include mobility during use. They're more comfortable, there's more compliance, better outcome with faster results than traditional dilators where you have to lay down, plus your ability to multitask. You can find my Shiology wearable dilators on my website at drsherry.com. But wait, there's more. I want to introduce you to my wearable anal dilators. 36% of women, 44% of heterosexual men, and 80% of gay men enjoy anal play on a regular basis. I have created the only wearable anal dilators that come in a variety of shapes, sizes, and colors to help you gently and safely stretch the anal opening, making anal play more pleasurable and comfortable. My wearable anal dilators help avoid injury and trauma to the anal opening. Whether you enjoy anal penetration with a penis, finger, or sex toy, carefully stretching the anal sphincter will make anal play much more enjoyable with added satisfaction and less anal trauma. I designed them with you and your active lifestyle in mind. You can find them on my website at drsherry.com.
The Psychotherapy Network or Symposium is the preeminent conference in Washington, D.C. for therapists. They recently started Innovations in Psychotherapy in Anaheim, California. We've attended both and asked attendees what they thought was the biggest trouble with sex today. Here's what one therapist had to say.
What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
That we think it means just one thing. It's a lot more complex than that.
We'd like to hear from you. What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today? Go to thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy and submit your response today. We may use it on a future episode. Now, let's get back to our conversation with our guest to hear their answer.
Welcome back, and it's so fun to talk to you. It's really nice to have a guest who's so insightful and so brilliant, and I really could talk to you about these things all day.
That's so kind. Same.
Let's dig in a little bit deeper to the trouble with sex. What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
You're not short of asking really big questions, are you?
No,
Okay.
I love it.
And that's what I love you for. I would say access to sex probably is much easier than before all around. From devices to information to disinformation, all of that sex. Everything is sex. Even selling a shampoo is sexy and with orgasm sounds and, whatever. But I don't know if we have the skills, maturity, and the relational context for them. That's what I think the biggest issue is with sex. And if you read the statistics that come out of the large scale studies in different countries around the world, by the way, not only US, you will see that frequency of sex went down
It did, yeah.
for younger adults but having tendency with so-called weird, as it is cited actually in research as the weird tendencies that are categorized under sex or sexual activities are on the rise. So there are so many reasons for that, but it's really interesting. So it's not that it feels sometimes as if we've been there, done that, not interested anymore. So it's and also it's the fatigue that many people experience. And it all started, I think, leading to the pandemic. Yes, during the pandemic, it was a little bit all over the place. And then after the pandemic, I don't think it picked up because both of us work with clients and, we see a range of people that come to us. And that's one of the things that sometimes sex is an issue, sometimes is not the issue. It's just the relational context, maturity, of it. And sometimes people have great literacy about sex, but they lack fluency and eloquence. So these are the things that I see as the biggest issues right now.
Well, that's really fascinating, and it brings me back to my comments in the beginning about what you talk about, the difference between chemistry and attraction or harmony, desire. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So there was a time that we would say, when we see somebody and that those butterflies and oh my God, I have to have you, or at least the idea of it, the chemistry part of it, like an explosion almost, was there. And a lot of people mistakenly, they thought that that's a very good foundation to build a whole life and relational space over. So that is desire that could be fleeting. And when the novelty wears off, I always tell people, scientifically speaking, and I know you know that and you agree with that. Scientifically speaking, if you want to rekindle, I hate that word, by the way, rekindle or reignite or, whatever, because scientifically that's not accurate, right? Um, if you want to rekindle that, it feels like you are trying to tickle yourself. That just doesn't work,
That's a great
right?
analogy, actually. That's really good. It's like trying to make yourself sneeze, or yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. And then on the other side of it, attraction is a renewable energy, because attraction is that feeling that you would like to be around somebody enough to explore the things that you can do together that brings both of you joy or connection, fulfillment, however that feels like. So on one hand, we have desire that is fleeting. If it's there, really nice. If it's not there, not very nice. And then on the other side of it is attraction that you have more sense of agency over. So as you know, I'm all about sense of agency and see how we can make things work based on our own efforts rather than just leave it to the chances. And so that's how I would differentiate them.
I like that because it puts the onus back on us. It's not like saying, well, if I have no attraction to you, it's your fault because so I have to trade you in for someone else. It really puts that responsibility on me to think about what that means and how do I build that attraction in me for us.
Exactly. And so desire and attraction, if you listen to people colloquially, they are used interchangeably. But if you go to the neuroscience level, neurobiological level, they are two different things. So when we say attraction, people think we are talking about I'm hot for you, like whatever. That's not what it means. Attraction could be social, could be intellectual. More and more couples you will see that the main point of attraction is actually intellectual, because you've got to talk to the person sometimes. So these sort of things. It's interesting. I would love to change the discourse around these misunderstood words that we just perpetuate over time without stopping, pausing, questioning. Who said that? We know better now. We have so much science.
Yeah, I love that. Can you say some more about how people can work on that attraction side? If we know that, okay, it's not the chemistry thing,
Mhm.
it's the attraction that really, that's where the juice is and where we can really put some effort in.
Sure. So if the desire, by the way, chemistry, desire, all of that is really good if you want to have really hot sex dangling from chandelier, whatever that your thing is. That's good. I'm not against that. And for some couples in long-term relationship, that's a very strong part of their combination. But if you don't have that with somebody, but everything else is in place, as long as you're physically attracted to them, but then you can actually move on and put your efforts where it matters and do it. But if you're not physically attracted to somebody, forget about it, walk the other way. Because physical attraction, we did really robust, rigorous research. And physical attraction was one of the main points of attractions. But intellectual, physical attraction, and compatibility between the thinking styles that people have. There are four different thinking styles. The way that they connect to themselves, the world around them, the way they occupy a space, their socioeconomic status. So there are so many different, social is one of them. There's so many different factors that make one person um, that I want to be around a person rather than the other person. And physical attraction is socially constructed. Sexual chemistry is neurobiological. So there's a difference there. So
Can
now
you
how to,
say more about that? Because we get so many people that say, I used to be attracted to my partner, I'm no longer attracted to them. So does that
Mhm.
mean, if we get old and our partner's not attracted to us anymore, they should leave? What are you
Sure.
saying?
So here's what we found, actually. Here's what we found in our research, which I'm so glad we're talking about this. So the couples that we studied, like more than 400 couples that we studied very closely to see how they thrive rather than just survive, they wouldn't name it, but in social psychology, we have a principle called reciprocal liking. What it means is if I think you like me, I tend to like you back. Now, think about it. As we go through childbearing and rearing and caring for pets and in-laws and, like elderly and immigration, if it's a part of your repertoire, eh, or lose of job, loss of job, political climate, everything, you name it, right? We go through. So during those times, I really challenge people who are listening to us, or rather invite them. Jot down the number of sentences you exchange with each other, number of looks, touches that you exchange with each other. Which one of them says, I like you? So when couples end up with me and say, I'm not attracted, I love them, I'm not in love with them, those sort of language that many people use these days, I ask them, when was the first time that you felt you're not liked by the other person?
Interesting.
In between diaper duty and deadlines and this and that, where is that signal that tells me that you like me? That is the first one that goes away. So if people want to do something practical, they need to have a very good profile of daily exchanges that tells the other person, I like you, I want to be around you, in however way. And it's not sexual. Don't chase each other in the kitchen and slap each other on the derriere. That's not what I'm talking about. Like just telling each other that I like to be around you. Like the other day, I had a woman who told me my husband hasn't taken a shower before he comes to bed for the last many, many years. And every night I have to say, you stink. Can you please take a shower? He's in a manual job, right? And he says, no, what's the big deal? You should love me as I am. And then 5 years later, they come to me and say, you know what? I love them. I'm not in love with them. And then the issue is sex. The issue is chemistry. The issue is completely misplaced. The person stinks. And the person doesn't go out of their way to make you feel comfortable and be liked by them. Right? So these are the things that I think if as experts, if we really break them down based on pure like research, reliable and validated research, we can show them, hey, don't put your efforts here. Put your efforts here. Don't buy expensive gifts in this occasion. Buy it if that's your thing. But like not to fix this thing, just take a shower every night. So the person is telling you what is happening. So I feel like so that reciprocal liking is a huge part of keeping attraction alive. The second part of it is intimacy. Into me, I see the person that I'm becoming over the years, and into me, you see the pieces that I choose to share with you. Because a lot of people, again, mostly in individualistic cultures, we go off with our own therapy, psychoanalysis, whatever. I am a better person. I grew, but I'm a totally different person, and my partner has no clue as who I am because I have the intimacy with me. Into me, I see. But do you see into me also? So these are the things that, okay, so let's recap. The differentiation between desire and attraction, and then you bring it down, reciprocal liking on a daily basis, practices of that. And then we go into intimacy. My couples have to do intimacy practices at least once a year. They come together and then they share with one another, who am I right now? What am I proud of? In this culture of trauma dumping and trauma celebration and trauma, whatever, we come together and we just share of trauma. But I'm sorry, I'm not just based on my traumas. I'm also a proud mother. I'm also a proud person, in the society. So how about those? Celebrate things that matter to me. Celebrate them with me. See them. So these are the things that I feel we need to shift a little bit. It's not rocket science. These thriving couples, they're not luckier than us. They're not the people who have it all and, strike by the Cupid or whatever not. They just put their efforts where it matters.
Yeah, I want to go back to the woman with the guy who doesn't
Let's
take a
go.
shower. I mean, what if she really doesn't like him anymore? Like, isn't that fair to say, okay, but I just don't like him? Like, after enough years of asking for your need to be met and being purposely dismissed, I don't know if it's just, okay, well, do what she wants and then she'll like you. Are we dismissing the fact that she's been worn down of not liking him? Like, there's something there of that I'm getting connected to that I want to outsource to you, maybe because I need free therapy, but I want to outsource to you about like what happens when your couples like really don't like each other anymore. Is there a piece that's just, well, do some behavior change requests, and what if he takes a shower every night and it's really she still doesn't like him? Like, what happens?
For me,
Yeah, for you.
the lack of taking shower is a sign of disrespect. So
Yes,
then
exactly.
I will bring it up and I say, hey, what other areas each of you feels disrespected, and are you also respectable in this relationship? What do you do to be
Perfect.
respectable? So here's what I will do with this specific couple. I mean, I don't share what we've done on the other side, but similar
Sure.
scenarios, which we see a lot, right? It's just out of confidentiality. Um, but one thing that I would say to my couples in those scenarios is they need to understand what happened. Because if they don't, and just based on not knowing each other, as amicable as it is, if they walk away, they'll do it again. So I just want to make sure that
Exactly.
sometimes I have this agreement with them, and I see you're nodding too. So it's like I have this agreement with them. I say, hey, you come to me so I can facilitate your uncoupling. By all means, I'm there for you. Can you give me a little bit of time to help you understand what is happening with you? So when you walk away from this, you know what you're doing. And, like, so that, and they have an agreement, they thank each other at the end. Many of them thank you for staying for another couple of months for us to figure out what is happening, and then they walk off if they choose to, or we are going to enter a new contract with a new relationship for them.
Yeah. No, I really like that.
It's not
So many.
the shower.
Well, I mean, partly the shower.
It's not just the shower, but it's a sign of
Right.
disrespect for me.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I love how you brought that around to that, because that's exactly what I was thinking. Um, I have a question from a listener, which I think is applicable. I think you're the exact right expert to ask this question.
Oh,
So, yeah, no pressure. Again, no pressure. Um, in the next few minutes, you just wrap up this person's life.
let's go.
Jessica from Connecticut. Oh, my old stomping ground. Thanks, Jessica. Dear Dr. Tammy, I've been divorced for 5 years and recently met someone where the chemistry is on. O-N, capital letters. We have so much in common. The sex is great, but it also feels overwhelming. It feels a bit love bomby, and there's something I don't trust. Am I crazy? I'm out of practice here. How can I slow this down to see if it's something real? Wow. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for writing in. And I get the post-divorce dating, it's complicated. And I'm glad that you found someone where you have such hot chemistry. And I understand that, how do you differentiate the love bomby thing? It almost is like the other flip side of the coin of disrespect. It's like the over attentive, over wonderful. Part of it is like, can you believe it's real? Can you trust it? Because, divorce is painful. And at the same time, everything that Dr. Sara is saying, like sometimes the chemistry is just chemistry and it could wear off. So, Dr. Sara, what can we share with Jessica from Connecticut?
So, Jessica, congratulations on this new path, a new person, as Dr. Tammy mentioned. I just want to ask you a question. Before you do any of these, searching to see whether, first of all, trust yourself. If your gut is polished, then trust it. If not, you need to polish your gut first. What do I know? What do I mean by that? I want you to know your ending styles, the detachment style. I will publish on that very soon. But until then, this is just my new research that I'm trying to figure out. The way that we trust other people also depends on our ending styles. So, for example, the divorce ended what and how. I'm pretty sure it's complicated and complex things. But look at your relationships over time and see whether if somebody got really close to you, did you walk the other way? Did you stay for too long? Did you accommodate for too much? Because something tells me that you need to work on your boundaries. If you feel like you're bound, you can communicate your boundaries as invitations, as how the other person be around you, lovingly and firmly. If you're there, then trust what you're feeling, take it a little bit slow, and I would make the physical connections a little bit spaced out. So that in between, especially because sex is hot, so I think in between you will need time just to ground yourself and look at other areas that you said you have a lot in common and compatibility. That's one thing comes to my mind just immediately. The second thing that comes to my mind is if you find yourself that you say yes, 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 you're walking on eggshells, or you're passive aggressive, or this is a pattern that many women actually have, then you need to be very careful, and I would definitely work on your boundaries. People who talk to me about, I'm really afraid of being sucked into this relationship quickly, love bombing, this sort of things, something loud in my head says boundary check. And boundaries are not walls. Remember how I defined it? Invitations. Like, for example, if he really, really wants to be with you, I think it was a he, I'm assuming.
I think
Was
so. I
it a
think that
he?
was the pronoun. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so if he really would like to see you and you feel, just have a check-in with yourself. See whether this is an excited feeling, this is the nervited feeling, this is like, ooh, a little bit to the other side, too soon, too early, what is happening? Then that's that. The other thing is at the beginning of relationship, when you feel a little bit uncomfortable receiving a lot, in a way, be careful because you are training the other person not to give you a lot. So if there is work to be done for you to be able to be comfortable to receive a lot, let it be. Do your work. Don't train the other person not to give you a lot because you feel uncomfortable. So I wonder if this is relevant or helpful. I hope it is.
I love how you said polish your gut. I say listen to your intuition, and polish your gut is so much better because it is so visual and visceral, and I can just see her like rubbing her center, her like third chakra there, whatever. Like the idea of really listening to yourself is so important. And it's harder to set boundaries if you don't really know how to listen to what feels like your inner self is trying to tell you. I think that's really smart.
I
Yeah,
hope so.
I
I
think that's
hope
good. I think that's good
really,
advice.
Jessica, you take this, what you're taking away is that just take it a little bit slower because it sounds like an overwhelming sound to me. So,
Yeah.
and when there's this feeling of overwhelm, it means that your invitations are not clear. It's like really think about hosting somebody in your house. You need to be in the best, like situation to receive your guest, and the guest needs to deserve to be there.
Yeah, and I also like what you were talking about. So your detachment styles, which I think is really a great way of looking at it. Like, I mean, you haven't been out of a divorce for that long, even though it feels like it. Maybe you're totally ready to be in another serious
Mm.
relationship, and maybe that scares you. And so there is real potential here, and there's a part of you that's saying, "Oh no, we're going to do this again." Like that would make sense to me too. And so that I don't know how old you are. I don't know what your living situation is. It's scary to build another love of your life. And you may be falling in love, and that can feel really spicy, and it can also feel really risky. So that makes total sense to me.
Yeah,
We
talking
want
about
to,
that control that we talked
yeah,
about earlier.
exactly. The
Losing
freedom and the
control.
control. The freedom to like just go with it and like have great sex and hang out all weekend and stay in bed, and then also like, oh no, I got to go to work. I got to
Yeah.
control this. I got to rein this in by Monday. Like that makes total sense to me. Sarah, can you add any last piece that you want to make sure you talked about, or you want to make sure our listeners hear from you?
I honestly want to just tell people that thriving relationships are possible and you deserve it. Deserving is not a word that I use often or lightly, but I know for a fact that everybody deserves to be in the loving relationships they desire, and nobody is an exception ever.
That's lovely. That's lovely. And how can people find you? And um, where do you want people to connect with you?
I have a website that, it's Sara, Sara dash Nasserzadeh, my last name, Nasserzadeh.com. On Substack, I have a newsletter, monthly blog that I just write things about fluency and literacy, one topic at a time. It's called The Common Ground by Dr. Sara. And I'm on Instagram as well. So if they just Google my name, they can find me. And there's a lot of content that I put out there that I hope they're useful. Connect with me, tell me what works, what doesn't work, how I can be of help. Because I I don't take it lightly that we are privileged to be doing what we do in our work, to have the trust of so many people, groups, colleagues, everybody that we supervise, like work with, whatnot. And I think we can't hold it behind the closed doors. They have to get out. So I'm all over the place. People can find me. And also the book is, if they are looking for something that they can read, do the practices for themselves, it's Love by Design, 6 Ingredients to Build a Lifetime of Love.
Well, thank you, Sarah. And I just love you and I love your work. And
I
everyone
love you
should get
too.
this book. I let you love bomb me anytime. And I think you're fantastic. And everyone should know more about Dr. Sara Nasserzadeh. And so she is at Sara, and her last name is Nasserzadeh. We will put all those links in our show notes so you can find more of her work and her writing. And if you're a therapist, you can also find more training there as well. And thank you again for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend, for having me. Thank you.
My pleasure. And to all of our sexy listeners today, thank you again for joining us for another episode of The Trouble with Sex. If you want your question answered on our show, you can go to thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy. I would love to hear from you, and tell us what else you want to hear on our show as well. Until then, stay sexy, stay sane, and stay safe.
Have a question about your relationship or sexual wellness? Visit thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy to send us your questions. For sex-positive tips, live events, and updates, join our mailing list and follow us on Instagram at The Trouble with Sex. Listen to episodes of The Trouble with Sex on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please share and rate the show. We so appreciate and thank you for supporting us. The Trouble with Sex is produced by Brandy Savitt. Audio for this episode was designed by Bethany Knoll Productions. This episode was engineered and mixed by Bruce Hirschfield. Music by Bruce Hirschfield.